So what does the fourth quarter of 2024 look like for the housing market? Stick around, let's find out. Hey everybody, Dave Edwards, Treasure Valley Dave here. You know, you're a great real estate agent by your side when it comes time to buy a home, sell a home, or even relocate right here to the Treasure Valley. And if you're going to be relocating to the Treasure Valley, there's some things that you need to know. If you're going to stay put, there's some things you need to know. And it's the housing trends for the rest of this year. So experts are giving us their best guess on what the housing market is going to be like for the rest of the year. And there's really three main things that we're going to be talking about. One is interest rates. The other is inventory. And the final one is the demand for homes. So let's get into it. But before we do, this article did highlight some important things I want to make sure you knew about. One is that holidays and colder weather typically make the final quarter of every year the quietest time for the housing market. And that has been my experience typically, but it might be different this time. Experts continue. However, experts anticipate an atypical fourth quarter this year with lower mortgage rates potentially creating more buyer activity than usual. Atypical. Good use of the word, right? And experts go on to say that today's high home prices are not expected to drop in the fourth quarter due to sustained demand and limited inventory. Demand, limited inventory. We're going to be talking about those things in a second, right after we talk about interest rates. So interest rates were coming down. Finally, we got a little bit of relief. And then what happened? Pop. On October 4th, they shot up. They shot up a substantial amount. The expert here says that it was the biggest single day rate increase that the index has ever tracked. Well, that's pretty impressive, right? Not in a good way. So what was behind that? Well, it turns out that the Federal Reserve, we call them the Fed, they had to increase the rates because the jobs numbers came in way higher than they expected. So what does all that mean? Well, for the Fed to supposedly keep inflation under control, they have to make life miserable for everybody else. They have to make sure you don't have enough money to go spending, thereby keeping demand down. Kind of a weird way of doing it, but that's what they do. So they want to make sure you don't have very much money. But what did you rascally people do? Well, you saw your family getting hungry and you went out and got a second job, or you went out and got a third job. And good for you, but the government didn't like that. So they said, well, we're going to have to jack up those interest rates. And that's exactly what they did. Of course, you and I really know that the real cause of inflation is government spending. And they just spend. It's not that you're buying too much, it's they're spending too much. So anyway, back to the story. Let's look at inventory. So inventory is the amount of houses that are available for buyers to buy. And you guys know that the rule of capitalism is supply and demand. That's the golden rule. And supply is what our inventory is. And things are going along pretty well until COVID hit, right? And COVID really messed up inventory in many different ways. One is, they couldn't get the supply chain was disrupted. Builders couldn't finish houses. They might have enough material to start a couple here and there, but they couldn't sell them. Like we had one builder here locally that could not get the pipe that you put gas, the natural gas comes to the house in. So the whole house had to stop being completed because they couldn't get that. In pretty short order, that just grinds everything down to a stop. Also, labor. If you can't have builders come to, build your house. Well, I mean, a lot of places in the country, they were on, home arrest, actually. Here in Canyon County, Nampa, Caldwell area, we had absolutely no restrictions whatsoever on us being locked down or anything like that. Ada County, Boise, because they're more liberal, they did have more restrictions. Just something to keep in mind for the future, right? So we've pretty much gone through all that and are pretty much back to normal, especially around here. And there are 8 states that actually have more housing inventory now than we did in the pre-COVID days. But unfortunately, there's only 8 states that are up out of all the 57 states. So there's a lot of places that are still struggling. And why is inventory, the supply, so important for housing trends and home prices? Well, because the supply, the inventory moderates what the price is going to be. If we have so much demand and we have very few houses, we don't have very much supply, then prices are going to go crazy. But here in Idaho, well, we have the most of any state. Well, pretty close too. We had 17% more inventory now than we did before COVID. Let me throw these numbers out at you. 30%, 22%, 13%. That's how much inventory is down in California, Oregon, and Washington. So yeah, Idaho's doing great. We got pretty good inventory, and the inventory, like I say, helps keep our prices very stable. But if California, Oregon, and Washington don't have the inventory, what's keeping their prices stable? Their prices aren't going through the roof. Well, I guess it's demand. They don't have as many people wanting to buy them. We'll talk about demand. So this article says that the U.S. has the lowest number of pending home sales. That's kind of demand, right? Since they started tracking this back in 2001. They're asking, well, why are buyers waiting? Well, I think there's a lot of reasons for that. They say it's because of interest rates. And those interest rate drops are expected soon. And then once they do happen, well, we're, Katie bar the door. It's going to go just crazy around here. I don't think that's really the case, though. Do you? In this next article, it talks about growth. So according to this article, growth reflects the economic future of a state. And I take that to mean, it's if you have good growth, that means that people believe that that everything's in place for you to have a really decent economic future. And maybe that's for your job. Maybe that's to start a business. Maybe you're concerned that, your kids, as they graduate high school, they're going to have the opportunity to find, great opportunities for work and career. Or maybe you just want to live in some place that's economically stable for your retirement. So good growth is a good thing. And bad growth means that people don't have that same level of confidence that things are being done right. But I think there's one thing that could be kind of thrown into that mix too, and that would be organic growth. So people moving to Idaho, that's organic growth. We don't have the incentives of a sanctuary state where we're encouraging illegals to come here. And we don't have the incentives of all the freebies that go along with, encouraging illegals to come to our state, or anybody else for that matter. Basically, Idaho is, very conservative, and we kind of have that work ethic that, you go to work, you want food on the table. And it might just be that that's why people move to Idaho, because they want a better life and they want great opportunities. And Idaho is number one on the old growth index. So I overlaid the data from the top growth states to those states that have, higher home inventory, places where builders and investors believe that people want to move to. And so that only really gives us Idaho, Texas, and Florida. And to me, that seems like the places where you're going to have the best economic growth and the best quality of life. But let me throw this out there. Aside from the great economic climate that we have, Idaho also tops Texas and Florida for the weather climate. So while I'm recording this, we have Hurricane Milton that is heading right for Florida. And just last week we had a Hurricane Helene. And just every time you turn around, there's another hurricane. I can't think of the last time we had a hurricane that hit Idaho. If you know of one, please leave some comments down below. And in Texas, they have the Arctic blast that kills people and just discombobulates the whole energy sector and electricity. And then they have tornadoes. Oh my gosh, they have tornadoes down there. And then they have cockroaches. I don't know if you knew that, but also the humidity. So for me, Texas is all right, but I'm going to go with Idaho. So Idaho is fast growing, but is it everywhere in Idaho that's growing? Let's take a closer look at where growth is happening in Idaho. But did you know that the growth that we have in Idaho, 88% is from the overwhelmingly conservative people escaping some blue bastion someplace. And then 12% are from births. So I would like to take a moment and encourage all you Idahoans out there, let's work on getting that number up a little bit more. Thank you. But growth in Idaho is not even across the entire state. And it's not concentrated in just one place like Eagle Road during rush hour. So check out this map here. So the darker the orange is where they've had more growth. Now this is growth by percentage. You can see the very tippy top of the state. We've had a lot of growth. And so this is very alpine-ish. It's trees and it's snow. And I'm thinking this is probably like where a lot of retirees move to that just don't want to see another soul for the rest of their life and go fishing and just be left alone. So I think there's probably quite a few up there. But then the next place that really kind of caught my eye was right dead smack in the middle of the state, and that is Camas County. So it's orange. Now, remember I said this is based on percentage increase. It grew by 14%, but in real numbers, it grew by 148 people. So the whole entire county only has 1,232 people in it. So, you know what they say, lies, damn lies, and statistics. Well, that's kind of what you get with percentage looks, because it's not I think 148 new people moving into the county. I don't think that's going to like hurt anything, do you? So look over here at Ada County. That's the area around Boise, right? And it grew by 5%, which seems pretty reasonable. It's like, so this is the years from 2020 for the 4 years up through 2023. So as recent as numbers as we can get, 5% doesn't seem like that crazy a growth. I mean, if you were to watch social media, you'd think, oh my gosh, everyone and their brother is moving here. Well, maybe not so much. But look next door to Canyon County. And this is where you're going to find Nampa and Caldwell. We grew by 11% here. Yeah, that's a little bit more substantial. But before you go, throwing pitchforks at those Californians, do you know where most of the people that moved to Canyon County came from? Was it California, Oregon, Utah? No, it was Ada County. Why are people leaving Ada County to come over here to Canyon County? Well, I can tell you why. Cost of living is a lot cheaper. People are friendly, and we don't have a Marxist mayor. Just some suggestions. I'm not quite sure. So housing trends. To really nail that down, it kind of depends on what's important to you and what area are you talking about, because it's going to change from conversation to conversation. So that one story that we looked at, it basically said that, interest rates are the thing. But you know what? Interest rates really aren't the thing. They're a thing, but they are changeable. And you can get a different interest rate depending upon what kind of a loan package you're getting. Those change quite a bit. You can also get a different rate, a lower rate, by buying down the rate. And currently we have several builders that are proactively offering to help buy down your rate, a couple of points even. So that's pretty substantial. And then also, if you do get into a house and then rates come down, guess what? You can refinance. And here's another little hint. If you get into a house and then rates go up, well, you look like a genius for getting in when you did. That's always helpful. So inventory, that's really what's going to impact the immediate cost of a home. But a healthy inventory level also indicates more than that. It indicates that that the builders and the investors think that this is a good place to build houses because of many different things, I'm quite sure. The whole economic structure, the government regulation is a desirable place for people to move to. When they say, yes, we want to build houses here, I take that to mean that they're putting their money on the line. They probably know what they're talking about. So Idaho is growing for all the right reasons. Idaho attracts conservative people and conservative lifestyles, and we purposely do not attract illegal aliens or illegal activities. So Idaho is not a sanctuary state. We're not giving out stuff for free. And guess what? You don't get a pass. If you steal something that's under $900, we don't say, good on you, see you next time. No, we're going to prosecute you. That's not going to be a pleasant experience. So our economy is great. Our societal climate is great. Our weather is beautiful too. We got those 4 gorgeous seasons. So it's for all these reasons that I say that the housing trend in the Treasure Valley, here it comes, is going to be slow and steady growth. Home prices are going to remain steady and rise slowly. And they have to rise because the Biden administration has pumped so much money into our economic system that is what creates inflation, and prices and wages and everything else eventually is going to have to come up. I think because we don't have another layer of, the state government being widely stupid. No, I'm not looking at California. Okay, maybe I am. But So we have the best economic opportunity that you're going to have compared to many, many other states. So that's going to help also keep our prices from spiking and going crazy. The housing market is not going to crash right here for sure because it's a desirable place to be. We have great inventory, so a lot of people think the same thing, that this is a desirable place to be. Also, we have the weather, the land. We got so much water, and water really is life, right? So I also believe that this holds true, my prediction of what's going to happen, my housing forecast, regardless of who wins this election coming up. For those reasons that we just talked about, it's a great place to be. And we're kind of shielded because we don't have the state jumping on there on every crazy idea that the federal government has if it's a continuation of the Biden-Harris type of trajectory. If we do end up, and I hear this quite frequently with, a stuff hits the fan type of scenario. It's like, oh my gosh, it's like, where do I move? Well, here's the thing. Look, I sound like Joe Biden. So I'm sorry. But here's the thing. If that scenario ever does come about, I'd rather be right here in Idaho. And why is that? Well, because we have sensible people, conservative people. We're very law abiding. Even if we don't have cops and sheriff's deputies around, we all have that moral sense. And we're going to take care of business and make sure that our communities are safe. Also, we have very, very fertile land. We're going to be growing food, and we've got all sorts of water. So, and we're not near any big old population centers either where, marauding gangs are going to come through. So yeah, but for those reasons, I think Idaho is going to be just fine. We're going to have slow and steady growth as far as house prices go. And as far as the number of people coming in, we don't have that many people unless you look at the percentage wise. And if you're curious about what it's like to live here, you haven't been here yet, whatever, go get my relocation magazine. You can get that at this URL right here, livinginthetreasurevalley.com. livinginthetreasurevalley.com. It's got over 100 pages, color. It touches on a lot of things from education to jobs to traffic and everything else. It's very, very informative. Also, if you're interested in what the market's doing, we come out with a brand new market summary every single month once the new numbers come out, and you can get your own copy here at this URL, www.idahorealestatemarket.com. You can download the PDF of our market summaries, one for Ada County, one for Canyon County, and there's a video that goes along with that as well. So you're on YouTube right now. Just make sure you subscribe to the channel, and you'll get notified the next time a video comes out. And like I say, every month, we're going to have another market summary video for you to check out as well. So thanks for coming along today. I appreciate you sticking with me. I know this is a long one. And if you're interested in what the Treasure Valley is like, go ahead and watch this next video. This is Idaho is on America's worst crime list. I know. Can you believe it? It shocked me, knocked me over with a feather. Hey, guess what? We will see you on the next video. Thanks a lot.